Hello guys, today we are talking about Autolycus, one of the most interesting project that I ever did. Basically, I'm a backend developer, but for this project especially, I had to learn React and I built this application around it. So we are going to discuss about this project in depth. So basically, Autolycus is all about hosting a torrent leeching service onto a remote workstation or server or a private VPS from where you can paste in torrent magnet links which can be downloaded onto the server so that you can stream it effortlessly without downloading the entire torrent file on your local system. So to get started, what we can do is we can go to this code block, copy the URL link, and for now I'm going to clone it onto my desktop. So let me just clone it. Once this is done, I can go to the project. So for code readability, I'm going to open this into VS Code. Here we are, and so you can follow along with the README, and the very first step that needs to be done is cloning the repository that we already did. So the second step is generating a environment file because the app requires to be configured so that you can use the project. If you are running it locally, then it's very easy, but if you are running it onto some cloud server, then you may need to modify this API URL to point it to the public URL of the API where the application is running, because the client application will basically run on the browser, so it needs to communicate to the backend API. So for that reason, it needs the public IP address of the service. So the project is actually built using Docker and Docker Compose, so it is very easy to set up. There are mainly three services: the API service, which is the backbone of the entire application, which takes care of the database and managing torrent files, handling them, authentication, all those things. The UI is the major part where we basically interact with the application. I was very curious to build this application, so I took some inspirations from the designs available on Dribble and I built it entirely using CSS because I am not a front-end guy, so I had to do a lot, but still it is up to the mark that I wanted to do. Lastly, we have the database service, which is basically a Postgres instance which we will use to store our information like user authentications and the torrent files which are going to be seeded. So to build the application, what you can do is you can use Docker Compose. All the installation instructions are onto the repository. You can follow along. For me, all those prerequisites are already installed. So I can simply do Docker Compose up and it will start the application. But if you are using it for the very first time, it will take some time to build the application and then start. So just to make sure that everything works, what I'll do is I will add this build flag so that it will first build the application. Okay, so the env file is actually missing right now. That means it can't build the application or run. So we need to have a .env file. So since the example file is already there and we can go along with the default configuration, what I'll do is I will copy the env example file as .env in our project. So now we have the environment file. Now this is added into the Git ignore. That means even if you push commits, it won't be saved. So you can put your credentials here. By default, it's Autolycus and admin, but you can change them and the application will, for the very first time, configure the database for you and everything will be set up. Now we are running the application locally, so this localhost should work for us, but if you are running it on a cloud instance, then you may need to change this localhost with the public IP address of the API. Again, let's try to build the application. I'll execute the docker build command, docker compose --- build, and it will start building the container. This may take some time, and once that is done, we will see how the application runs. So now as you can see that the application is running, we can go along here, we can see the logs, and so far it looks good and it is running. That means the application is built properly and it is now started onto port 3000. So we can point our browser to localhost 3000 and should be able to see the front-end application. No, it's not. That means there is some issue with the UI. Let's try to debug it. Well, it took some time to start. Now it should be there. Yeah, and we can see this. So when you run the application for very first time, you won't have any username and password. That means you can't log into the application. But don't worry, so far I haven't added any kind of authentication verification. That means you can simply click on this sign up button and you can fill in the information and you can create your own account. I will just enter the default values and it should take. Okay, so now we have our account set up and we are into the application. Now this is the main area where you will put in your magnet files and download those things and then browse through it. I plan to set up these tabs in the future, but for now these are just empty. Contributions are always welcome, but so far the main useful thing that we need to have is this home page. So now to test the application, what I'll do is I'll simply grab some magnet link of the internet and put it here. Fortunately, we have saved some of the magnet links that we've used before, so I can simply select this one. Or you can search through the magnet links online, and once I click on this plus button, you'll see it will try to fetch the information, and once it finds the information, it will try to download them. So you see now it has found the information regarding this magnet link, and if we drag over here, you will see that the name of the file, the magnet URL that we have used, and the date it was created and the size so far downloaded. So it's a 796 megabyte file. You can see the progress in real time, and even if you click on this directory, you will see that there is a MKV file present inside. Once this is completely downloaded, we can just simply click on this file and we can stream it. So for now, let it be downloaded, and we can simultaneously download multiple files in parallel. Now that solely depends on the internet speed that you have. If you are hosting it on a cloud instance, then it should be pretty much very fast, but as I'm running it locally, my internet speed will be divided, so I'll just simply delete this one, let it download. And so another thing is the point of inspiration why I built this application in the first place is because I wanted to have a service where I can simply put the magnet files no matter what file size is and it should download. Now if I have to run it locally, then there are multiple torrent clients available that I can use, but again those are not very convenient, and also if you have a very large size directory or file, then you don't want to download all those things. You just need to have a single file inside the directory. For example, if you are downloading, let's say, tutorials or APK file, so in that case, if you have a cloud instance with unlimited internet bandwidth available, then you can simply put it there and you can use it. Now a similar example from where this project is actually inspired is called Cedar. I have this open in this tab. So again, what I'll do is I will simply copy the magnet link that I use here and I'll try to put it here. So now this is a software as a service platform. They have very fast servers. So you'll see this file will be downloaded in seconds. So if you have sign up for the application for first time, you will get like 2 GB of space, and if you go through their referral system, then you can claim up to 5 GB of space. So if you have a file size limit that is less than 5 GB, I'll suggest you to use this service. It is fast. You can simply click on this. You can play movies, download any torrent file on the go. But if you're interested in hosting your own application with unlimited bandwidth and storage, then this application is for you. All the instructions and documentations are available on the repository. And if you open the application on mobile phones, then you'll see this is like totally adaptive. So if you change the scales, you will see that it will adapt according to the resolution of the mobile phones. So that is also a cool feature. That means you can run this application either on your desktop system or on a browser, and that is all. So let it download and we will try to download the file or streams. Now you see this is downloaded. So if I go up here, this is a text file. If I click on this, I can read it out simply, or if I click on this video file, you will see a player will pop up, and then you can basically run the video files. You can watch it online. Everything is handled by the backend API. So if you're running it on the cloud instance, then you do not need to worry about anything. You just need to have enough amount of RAM and CPU to be able to serve this file, and you can basically scroll through things, seek, or you can watch it from anywhere. There can be multiple clients requesting the same file, but that will again ask you to load the video file, so you need to have that much amount of memory available. If I open this in incognito, I can again go back and then I can log in. So you can see I have like 2 clients independently streaming the movie because they have logged in independently and they can watch the movie. So this is all about the project Autolycus. And even if you browse through like multiple files, the player will be persistent. You can browse through directories, you can create new directories. So so far you can also delete these files. For example, I deleted this one, and if you want to copy this thing, you can simply copy the link. For example, if I copy the link for this movie file, and if I open a VLC media player, I can put in the link and I can also play it from here. So the API is pretty much very self-explanatory and helpful. If you want to simply copy the URL and download or stream it from somewhere, you can also put it into some other tab and you can simply browse the movie. Now if you see here, this is a custom link generated by the backend API. That means it has some expiry time, so that you can also configure from the Flask application itself. If you go to the API, there is this config file from where you can set the datetime interval for the tokens when they expire or the URLs that will expire. By default it is set up to 7 days. So if you want to configure anything, you can do it from here. Or if you want to just download the file, then there is this download button given up here. So if you click on this one, instead of streaming, it will just start downloading it. So that can be done too. And basically the way it works is you just need to put in this question mark and it should work. If you remove this extra get parameter, then it will just stream the file. So it is also a quick hack for the API that you can do. Again, this recycle bin is actually not functional right now, but this logout button is at least working. You can also delete this file, so that can be done too. And again, we saw this Cedar example. You can do the same thing from up here, but this is a paid service. So if you want to do something on your own, you want to own the application, you can use this project. If you open this in the mobile phone, then you will see the UI looks like this. So this was about setting up the application. It's very simple. You just need to create the env file, put up your URLs and credentials here and run the application. Now for few people, now building this container solution could be a difficult thing. So for you guys, I have another option. So this project is actually also hosted on the Docker hub. That means you can simply pull the compose file and run the application. So let's try to do that as well. So with that, you don't need to go through the hassle of building the containers yourself. So if I go up here, I have this example compose file. I can copy this directly. No need to clone the directory or anything like that. Simply close it. Go to desktop. By the way, one more thing. So when we clone the directory, you see this downloads directory created up here. So anything that you download will go to the downloads directory. So you are pretty much covered from there. You can go to downloads Nathan and there will be the downloaded files from the application. So that's been that. I'll remove the Autolycus application for now. Okay, so let's quickly create so now we are here. What I can do is I can simply open Docker compose file and put in this information. Now okay, so I did some mistake in typo, so just let me quickly fix it. Okay, now we have this Docker compose file, and if I cut this, so you will see we don't need to create the env file because all those things that are required are directly passed through the Docker compose file, which means I can simply say Docker compose up and let's just start the service. Now because I already built the container, it is working, but the Docker compose file, if you see the content, if you see the content of the Docker Compose file, you see all the images are actually already built and hosted on the Docker Hub. So you just simply need to do Docker Compose up and your application should be up and running. Now I may need to create another account because I have deleted the database files, but that's okay. Yeah, it's not taking, so I will just create one account and we are in again. So that is how the application works. There are new features that needs to be added and there's a lot of requirement for that. People are raising issues, but I do not get a lot of time to work on the project. But if you are interested, you can come explore the project and you can also contribute. Now one more interesting thing is, if you are tight on memory consumption, you don't want to host everything on yourself, then from the Docker Compose service you see here, you can basically remove this UI service, because this UI service I have actually already hosted on GitHub pages. So you can go up here, you can go to this URL and it will load the application for you, but since it is not linked with any of the backend UI, it won't work for now because I have a running instance in the backend. So the application is actually loaded, but if I load it without running that instance, you will see this page because it is not able to find this API. So if you have a API running, you can just come to this page, you can configure the API address up here, you can submit it, and you don't need to host the UI yourself, it is already hosted and you can simply use it. So for now I will again start the application, and if I load it again, you'll see this is loaded. Since it is communicating with my backend API, I can use the credentials, I can log in. So now you see the application is actually running here, but it is communicating with my backend API and everything is on my local system. So that also can be done for you. You can go through that approach as well. Now this is running on localhost. So these are the two ways that you can do. Again, contributions are welcome. This project is getting a lot of attraction. If I get time, I'll try to add more features like searching for torrents directly into the application and all those. You see the recycle bin and favorite icons. I may try to do that, but for now this is the core feature that is working. And yeah, so that is all about the project. If you have any questions, you can put down or raise issues, come into discussions, you can discuss about it. So that is all. I hope you enjoyed the project, and again, don't forget to start the repository, fork it, try to put up pull requests. I'll review them. If I find them adding any values, I will definitely merge them into the repository.